All right, welcome back, folks. So sorry about that. As we were saying, and I'm sure you didn't hear us. The internet gods, we pray to them every time we try to do this, but sometimes we just don't give them enough offerings, and they take it away from us. But we are back into the match now, back to Temple of Anubis, where we have seen Fourth Dimension being able to lock down Objective 2 with about 2 minutes remaining on the clock. So now it's going to be up to us to see, can Mary go be able to bring this back in their favor with such a small time bank, or will Fourth Dimension end up finding themselves in the grand final?
Yeah, additionally, reminder, this is a best of 5, first to 3, so if this is a draw, it's still good for America. They can get themselves back into the series. It won't be over. Fourth Dimension, though, if they win this map, they lock themselves in the grand finals, they lock themselves a contenders trial spot, and more importantly, they lock themselves a lovely little head start in the first to 4 we have for our grand finals.
Right. So it looks like for the defense, so it looks like we were wrong. It looks like Marigo actually got the additional time here. Fourth Dimension having only a minute on the clock. So now they are on the back foot and have to prove their worth to take this first objective. Marigo has to be able to lock this down quickly and violently if they want to make sure to hold on to Temple of Anubis.
Yeah, Marigo, they're going to want to poke a little bit more with this Janssen and the Pizza. Fourth Dimension, they just want to go, go, go. They want to play a lot faster, and they want to try and build up their EMPs a little bit quicker. They want to play a little bit more aggressive with their DPS as well. So we'll see which of the teams can play their way.
We already see Fourth Dimension moving into that side room once again, looking to see if they can earn up that high ground space. And already we see Kinesion revealing themselves and immediately having to recall as we see the 180s come out from a majority of Fourth Dimension. Now they're going to move their way to the second high ground, rotating right around and pushing Marigo back until their backs are against the wall. Disperse getting ready to look for that hack on Elysiu or Ariel, and there it comes. The hack comes in, able to follow up on that hack and get that damage down, but it's not enough to take Ariel out of the fight. In fact, Ariel comes back better than ever, taking down Frogadier, and now Julo in that side room looking to wait it out as overtime ticks away, trying to see if they can get that first tick on the objective, but the picks are just coming in for Marigo right now. With a minute off the clock, overtime ticks away, and Fourth Dimension is not able to take this point.
Wow. Positive for Fourth Dimension is they can keep ahead in the series if they get a draw. But for Marigo, right, you're looking at this is a prime time opportunity, 90 seconds. That's enough time to build an EMP and get a fight in. I think that's what you're going to have to hedge your bets on. And if you do that, it's 2-2. We're going to a map 5, and you have opportunity to win it. Although, if you're 4D, you're actually probably thinking, realistically, you'd be pretty confident in control. You get map choice of control, and additionally, you would have that sort of thing that you won control previously in this series. So I think you would be pretty confident if you're 4D still in this series, but you still want to get that draw.
All right, yes, the draw would at very least help them out here. With a minute 32 on the clock, Marigo has the opportunity to bring themselves back into favor and really make that final map their way of getting back into the series without finding themselves in the loser's bracket. But as you said, Fourth Dimension could tie this up, continuing to hold their strong lead. And we already saw their dominant force on control. So if they can be able to turn that around once again and lock it in their favor, then Fourth Dimension will be heading in to the grand final.
Yeah, Marigo, they're playing this far. They want to poke down this role composition as much as they can.
Right, we already see the Pharah in the sky. Definitely a change of pace from what we've seen from Kinesion, and with the immortality field down, it looks like they have created the space they need to be able to take this objective. Braven and Roamer on that McCree and Bath can end up taking Kinesion out of this fight, but they just can't find the angle, and there it is. Kinesion just raining hellfire rockets from above, and I think this is gonna be it. Marigo gonna be able to tie this up 2-2 as the picks continue to come in. Temple of Anubis is theirs, and they are now heading to a map 5.
I'm a little bit confused, right? Fourth Dimension, we kind of predicted that they would play Temple of Anubis because they were better at these sort of poke-styled compositions where you had to wait for your opportunity and be a little bit more patient. And then they play this aggressive brawl style, which, I guess it's something different, something you don't expect, but I feel like they picked them up logically and then didn't play logically to why they picked that map, and it didn't really make sense to me. Positives for 4D, though. Back to Control. They won the first Control map of the series, and additionally, you get the map choice for this map 5. There is so much on the line here. Contenders trial spot, a map head start in grand finals, and an extra bit of cash as well, guaranteed in your balance. Oh, this is an absolute crazy game.
Absolutely crazy indeed. And unfortunately, the attack that we didn't get to see from Fourth Dimension, I gotta say, I'm just as surprised as you are, Ocean. The fact that they were taken down to that final minute remaining on the clock. We always say in Assault that the spawn has the advantage, and Marigo obviously just used that. Either they just dragged out the clock as long as they could, probably taking a 3 or 4 minute fight on the objective, or just were able to continue to outplay Fourth Dimension. And unfortunately, we'll just never know. It's down to the final map now, and Fourth Dimension is going to get their pick of Control to see where we're going to be headed next.
I'm honestly not sure. This is going to have to be some sort of comfort pick, because I feel like, in this moment, map 5, winners finals, you've got to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable in the moment, obviously you're going to be a little bit nervous after losing the past 2 maps. It's going to be all about comfort here, and 4D, this map pick could win or lose it for them.
And I wouldn't say that they need to be incredibly nervous, though. They have been a showing force tonight, regardless of what's been going on. These two teams are absolutely playing at the top of their game right now. So with this match being as close as it is, I can't say that I am surprised. It seems like our next map has indeed been chosen. I am so excited to see where we're headed.
It is gonna be Oasis. Now, this is interesting because I think Oasis is another one of these maps where these sort of dive, brawl, hybrid styles of composition and play are really strong. And I also think that's 4D's strength. However, additionally, the Wrecking Ball Diva composition is extremely strong as well. And also, there are a few points where you can maybe throw out the fire, which Kinesion proved that they could play. This is going to be one absolute hell of a series. I'm so excited to see the end of it.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to see it either. So go ahead, start popping off in that chat, folks. Let us know who you are wanting to see come out on top of this. Will the polls be correct and Fourth Dimension be able to take it in the end? Or will Marigo just turn that right around as they head into the grand finals themselves? We are just waiting for the teams to get set up and get ready to get started. And there are just so many different player combinations that we have been seeing tonight. The battle between Braven and Kinesion on those Tracers, Disperse and Kinesion on those Sombras. These micro plays that we continue to see these heroes pitted against one another, and one continuing to swap sides with the other, of being on top during the fight. I really don't know, Ocean. This is just incredibly exciting gameplay.
I think it's going to be interesting, but we have to wait a little bit longer. We're going to go to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it.
All right, we have been building up this ending, but it seems that all of us didn't take as close of a look to the rules as we should have, because this matchup is actually a best of 7, not a best of 5. So although these teams are tied, I hope you are ready to sit out another hour's worth or more of Overwatch action, because there is still a lot of game to be played. So now that we are all up to date on what we'll be doing here, now we have to wait and see what team will get to that 4th map win this time around. 4th Dimension now with the control map selected, taking us to Oasis. They do have the advantage here, but Marigo has been climbing their way back from our halftime earlier. So truly, with things tied up, it could be anyone's game still.
I would also like to point out, apparently the teams were also confused that this is a best of 7 series and just realized. I can't imagine what's going through their heads right now. Like, you think this is about to be the final map, going to be a crunchy map of Oasis, and then you're like, oh, well, we've got a little bit more time. Time to relax a little bit, right? And I think that might be a little bit more relaxing for 4D right now. They've been on the brink the last 2 maps. They won the first 2, lost the second 2. This is time to get momentum back in their series, and then they can relax a little bit more.
Absolutely. And now the rotation, I believe, is going to be between Control and Escort for the further maps, unless the rotation is just the same thing over and over again, which, you know, we could see some draws in the future that could drag this out for quite a while if that is the case. So we will now see if the Gardens will be locked down effectively here. Again, these compositions coming out strong, and Kinesion opting once again with Byakugan on that Pharah Mercy, and it doesn't look like 4th Dimension is prepared to answer for that.
I mean, yeah, but additionally, I think 4th Dimension, if they can play fast like they did on the first 2 maps of today, and go after that Zenyatta, I think we'll be in a pretty good spot.
Well, we got baited regardless. Kinesion swapping over to that Sombra. Already gonna get that initial hack onto Elysiu from Disperse as they go ahead and try to make their way in, and KZ able to get that final damage in and make it the 5v6 right before the point unlocks. But it looks like Elysiu will have time to get back into the action, so it's time to see, can 4th Dimension set themselves up to bring this right back into their favor, and the dive comes in, looking to see if they can get those hacks and damages off. He-Wraith able to find Julo and Disperse falling soon after, so it's a 4v6 fight, 3v6 on the objective. 4th Dimension looked like they had the advantage going into this fight, and Control for just a little bit, but Marigo will take it right on back.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a really good start to the fight for 4th Dimension. They got the hack on the Aliisi, and they were able to start off the fight strongly, and additionally, you know, they were looking pretty good in the EMP war at the start of the fight, but now they have to walk an awful long way to the point. They could get caught in rotations, and of course that's Zenyatta now has a little bit of a poke advantage. It's going to be quite difficult for 4D to walk into, however, they will have tools to do so.
Well, we're matching up the percentages as Marigo takes the lead, and Kinesion is already close to that EMP. We gotta see if Disperse is ready to engage with the EMP of their own to start things off. Coalescence coming out as the EMP hits, grabs all 6, and it looks like the cleanup is indeed going to be in Marigo's favor. The minefield is just littered around the objective, and the quick reset goes to the rest of 4th Dimension as they head back to spawn.
They're getting the better of the EMP fights now, Marigo. Remember, Blizzard World, 4th Dimension's defense, they were getting the better of the EMP fights. That changed on Marigo's offense for Blizzard World. It all changed, Marigo's defense for Blizzard World. It all changed. It's changing the pace of this series. It's happening again now on Oasis, and it's going to get even more difficult for 4th Dimension if they can't figure it out.
Well, Elysiu already getting the initial hack there and finalization with NKZ. And it looks like Fourth Dimension has found their foothold. The Diva Bomb able to grab one, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Marigo to continue to hold this. The stagger's just going to continue to come in. Crystal does get the pick onto Roamer, though. That might be the space that they need to be able to hold this all together. And with Elysiu back on the point, they may be able to take this up to the 99% mark. Tracer and Sombra's out of the fight right now as the percentage continues to go up in Marigo's favor. Now comes out the minefield as we see Julo stunned out and taken down by Byakugan. Overtime ticking away, and Fourth Dimension has to find their way back into this objective to be able to take it back, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Marigo will take the Gardens and start off their victory here on Oasis 1-0.
You have to wonder, 4D, they start off that fight so strong, they had the sound barrier as well. I think it might have been cancelled with the self-destruct anyway. But they knew they had the sound barrier, they knew they could engage confidently. They did engage confidently, they started off the fight strong, got a player's advantage, and it just didn't quite work out for them. They didn't shut down whatever targets they needed to at the end of the fight, and Marigo, they take advantage, they get back into the fight, and they take a lead on Oasis.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, we did see this before when it came to Lijiang Tower as well. Marigo was able to grab a foothold, but the question is, can they hold it? Fourth Dimension is having such a hard time getting that momentum back, and with Marigo being able to get onto that objective first, they may be setting themselves up for grabbing it in the beginning.
I think Fourth Dimension, they need someone to come out and make a clutch play and get them back into this, right? I mean, Disperse has done that a couple of times this series. Maybe just a hero play from Disperse to give them a little bit more hope, a little bit more faith could definitely help them.
All right, we already see the hacks coming in, trying to see if they can get it onto Ariel, but gonna be unsuccessful. Julo now unhacked. It has room to breathe as they go ahead and try to take space on the objective. There it goes. The hack comes in, but Kinesion gets the follow-up onto Disperse. Control now looking to go into Marigo's favor as the picks continue to come in for either side. He-Wraith in that backline looking to see if they can find someone, just anyone, out of position, but the contest from Fourth Dimension continues to hold strong right now. He-Wraith getting ready to come up on that pulse bomb, looking to see if they can find the value on those low targets, and already we see it going into Marigo's favor, but the fight is far from over. Pulse bomb ends up coming out as well as the Coalescence, but with Braven taking down Kinesion, they may be able to create the space to come back into this fight. The minefield now zoning out a majority of the objective as Braven finds Crystal in that backline, but the percentage continues to climb, and it looks like Julo getting sought out here. Oh, but the team able to get back into the action, 20% and climbing, as we see Fourth Dimension and Marigo continue to go round and round.
Yeah, I think Fourth Dimension will clean up this fight, but the important thing to note is, like, at the start of this fight, Tenseyon was looking really good. You know, EMP-wise was ahead of Disperse, but they never got the opportunity to use that EMP, and now the EMP field is leveled out. I think whoever blings first is actually going to see the benefit here.
All right, let's see if they can make it happen. He-Wraith looking to see if they can find Disperse on that high ground. Ends up finding Roamer for just a moment, though, and now is going to see if they can take him right on out. Crystal just shot for shot on that Zenyatta has been paying off in dividends. And Marigo with already the triple kill coming in, looking to get that follow-up onto Frogadier. I think that's going to be an objective retaken from Marigo here shortly.
I'm not sure what went on for Fourth Dimension there. I think it was a really strong EMP onto the supports. There was the opportunity to get those supports. The follow-up was slow. The follow-up was lazy. Fourth Dimension, they are unable to win that fight. Marigo, they clean up, and then look at their ultimates. Look at them. There's 5 there. Yep. Both support ultimates included. Fourth Dimension, they're in a really bad spot there. Here, you kind of feel like they haven't got any momentum back since Blizzard World.
Right, well, one thing always to note is longevity when it comes to these long fights, map after map. Some teams are just able to go the distance, and right now, Marigo is making it happen. NKZ able to find Ariel, while Ariel's bomb only able to do some damage, but not enough to take anybody out of the fight or to get followed up on. But control continues to be held by the side of Marigo. The percentage continuing to climb as Kinesion just on that high ground, completely uncontested. EMP comes in huge, grabs the 5K, but the follow-up has to be there in order for it to be useful, but I don't think it is. Pulse Bomb coming out from Heat Wraith, but also doesn't find the value that it's looking for, and this might be it. This may be the clutch plays that they are looking for as the hacks and damage continue to come in, disperse it. NKZ turn it back into Fourth Dimension's favor in overtime.
Kinesion's EMP was strong. It got 5 members, however, again, lack of follow-up maybe because, you know, Kinesion was building up to that EMP. They weren't quite ready to follow up on that ultimate, which is unfortunate for them because that would have undoubtedly won them City Center and won them Oasis and got them in front of this series for the first time. Now, Fourth Dimension, they're in a pretty good spot themselves, 60% and counting, and they'll have an EMP of their own.
All right, the minefield comes out for Elysiu as the EMP ends up grabbing 2, but Mariko already making it a 4v6 fight, and the Transcendence holding everyone else together. I don't think it's going to be enough for Fourth Dimension to be able to hold on. It's a 2v6 right now on the objective. No, there goes the 2. Overtime now going to be ticking away once again. The beat gets fed in from Frogadier, just being able to try to touch, and the stuns come in immediately, taking that frog and sending them right back to the pond. The boop, unfortunate, ends up sending Julo right back to the stairs, and Marigo takes the lead in our best of 7 series.
This is absolutely insane to me, because earlier in the series, remember, on Control in particular, we were saying, when there was a clutch play needed, Gibraltar as well, when there was a clutch play needed, Fourth Dimension stepped up. On 2 occasions, on that City Center alone, they screwed up their EMP fights. Either the first one, just lazy follow-up, the second one, you know, you had your Lucio get picked early, who had Soundbuyer, which would have made the engagement so much easier. The EMP missed the Zenyatta. I think these important fights that Fourth Dimension need to win, that they're going down the wayside. They're not winning them. And Marigo, I mean, they'll happily take that themselves. Now 3-2 up in this series. We're 2-0 down. Oh, this is one of the greatest comebacks I've seen in a while.
Yeah, this is definitely looking rough now for Fourth Dimension, and as I was mentioning during Oasis a little bit earlier, when we come to these best of 7 series, sometimes it's about that staying power as a team. You know, playing Overwatch is a mentally exhausting game, especially if you're playing on this competitive level. And sure, if you're like Fourth Dimension and able to get those first 2 maps locked in really quick, you could end up finding yourselves in victory. But now that Marigo has been able to bring it back, maybe the staying power is stronger on their side. Maybe they have the mental fortitude to be able to play at that peak level for longer that we just may not be seeing from Fourth Dimension, and that's going to hurt them moving into the next couple maps.
I mean, there's so much on the line here, right? Contenders try a spot, a little bit of extra cash, and a guaranteed map in the grand finals at the start. But what I actually really like is there's a perfect analogy here to how Fourth Dimension are playing. They're running these Warrior competitions, right? We also saw Kindergarten run these competitions.
Yep.
And eventually, in the later fights, you know, when the fight drags on a bit, they always run out of steam because Warrior sustainability in the late fight isn't great. What are Fourth Dimension running? They're running the exact same composition, but it's not in the maps. It's actually in the series where the longer it goes on, they don't have that sustainability and they're struggling now. I think this is a perfect analogy on how this is going right now in Marigo. They look like they're going to take the longer team fight or the longer series win.
All right. Well, we will indeed see what Fourth Dimension comes back with for our next map. I believe we're going to be heading back to Escort once again. So with already seeing 1 map off the roster, there's lots of different places we could end up seeing them go. Ocean, if you were Fourth Dimension, where would you be looking to set up shop?
I'm a little bit unsure. I think Route 66. I think that would be the best way. It is quite difficult if you lose a fight on Route 66 to get Zenyatta's set up in the Bold Diva competition, right? Because you need that Zenyatta to get set up. Otherwise, you don't really have a sustainable backline. I feel like Route 66 is probably your safest bet. And no, I'm
Ooh,
wrong.
na
We're going
na,
Havana.
indeed. We try so hard, folks, but it seems that Havana seems to be the place that Fourth Dimension feels like they're at home. And Havana has a lot of great sightlines, and maybe we might be starting to see a sniper or double sniper compositions coming out. Maybe being able to shut down that Zenyatta before it even comes out of the gate for Marigo is the direction that Fourth Dimension thinks that they might need to go for this.
I mean, Havana is such a unique map in Overwatch, right? These sightlines are so long, only really matched by Junkertown. That's another option if you want to take these sort of sniper angles. But I think it kind of changes the game. Right now, we're kind of in this Ball Diva versus Brawl situation, or we're in this double bubble versus double bubble mirror matchup. I think Havana is just an extremely different map, and that means that the series is going to change. The dynamic of the series is going to change just for a little bit. And if Fourth Dimension could change something right now because something isn't clearly going right, then maybe they can stake a map win and get back to a map 7.
And that's something we definitely could be seeing here. Maybe Fourth Dimension just needs a change of pace. They see that Marigo is essentially sticking on the same 2 compositions over and over and over again, and they just need a place where they can, get something new, try to create some space with a new composition, and definitely Havana creates that opportunity for them. But Marigo still have a lot of high ground advantage, whether you are, in that first area, in the brewery, especially in that last area, lots of long sight lines and lots of space to make that Zenyatta and that dive capable. So I don't know. I am waiting with bated breath to see if Fourth Dimension will get the refresh that they need, or if Marigo will just end the series right here.
I'm also more intrigued to Havana as a map pick because realistically, you're giving Marigo the opportunity to defend first on Havana. I think that's a massive opportunity that they can't really turn down. But it looks like they're gonna go for the offense. They want to try and keep momentum in this series, but Havana is one of those maps similar to Junkertown. I think it is quite easy to get full health, and you kind of make one mistake, and all that momentum in the series could be gone.
Indeed, true. And it looks like we have predicted correctly. Fourth Dimension is looking for that mental reset. They're going with this brawl with the Diva to try to see if they can either lock down this corner, or maybe they're just going to lock down the spawn. Maybe they just want to keep Marigo in the spawn. And honestly, many, many times over, we have seen this happen to even the best of teams. Trying to get your foot out of that door can be incredibly difficult, despite there being 3 doors to go out of.
I think they made too much noise. I think they know that spawn camp's coming. They're going for the Pharah, and that's usually a reaction to something. I think someone made too much noise. I think they know.
Oh boy, well, the Pharah Mercy trying to make their way out, but just first finding Byakugan there with the icicle shot at the end. It's already the 5v6, 4v6 is Braven able to take down Elysiu, and that payload just gonna go ahead and rest at that 1 meter mark.
Such a neat shot from Disperse to be able to shut down that Mercy and shut down a lot of the spam damage that was going to threaten Fourth Dimension right now. And this spawn cup is already benefiting. It's getting time off the clock, and it's definitely going to help Fourth Dimension get back into this series.
Right, Kinesion on the outside, but Braven just has them in their sights. But with NKZ out of mech, it looks like Marigo has that opportunity to make their way out of this objective. The picks are in their favor right now, and with Kinesion now back in the fight on that Pharah, it looks like with a minute off the clock, that payload's finally gonna start moving.
Marigo, some benefits. I mean, you lose a minute off your time, Mike, but look, you're building up to your ultimates. You're probably going to have both support ultimates within the next fight. I mean, you ideally might have wanted to build up a little bit closer to your barrage, but I don't really see your Pharah having a win condition, especially when Braven is so good at that McCree. It's going to be difficult. And look, they've already claimed the high ground, trying to make it difficult for Kinesion to get any value.
That's right, and the payload hasn't even made its way around that corner, so this high ground is definitely going to provide them with a lot of value. Barrage coming out, but the The amped fire strike from Julo ends up taking Kinesion right out of that fight. Beat gets fed in to counter the mines, and the Deadeye ends up finding Byakugan. I think that is going to be it for Marigo as the Blizzard looks to lock down this objective. Oh, the shield goes down in the final moments for Julo. It looks like they may be able to bring it back regardless. NKZ trying to hold together and seeing if they can take Kinesion out of that sky, get rid of that pesky Pharah, but with the triple kill coming in, there's only so much that a lone diva can do.
I'm confused as to why Julo tried to shield that instead of, walk away. Like, yeah, I think that's a normal thing to do.
Around the corner?
Yeah, I think that would be the normal thing to do. And, I mean, Marigo, they've got a barrage for next fight. I mean, not really the best ultimate to win a team fight with, but when fourth dimension have to scramble to get back to the objective, it could be a nice option.
All right, Pulse Bomb going into the backline from He-Wraith, not able to find the characters that they were looking for, but the Immortality Field has already been invested. If NKZ isn't paying attention, that barrage is going to get the value that it's looking for. The Diva Bomb getting fed in from NKZ, but Crystal finds them before the remech. Julo once again left alone on the payload to try to defend. And with 3 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock, Marigo make their way into the brewery.
I'm interested to see how Marigo takes base on point B, because I think it is very important that they do so. I was kind of hoping that they kept their Tracer on point and allowed their Zenyatta to move up to the high ground to take some more potent angles, but it seems they're not going to quite opt for something like that. They're just going to keep the standard thing of having their flex support on point and spamming through at distance, which is okay. And we'll see how they continue to play this far indoors, obviously wanting to spam down into this brawl composition and just get as much damage and pressure as possible.
Alright, boost as we see fourth dimension making their way into the objective. The issue about the brewery is you've got that roof not going to be able to fly as high as you would like, and with the beat now invested from Frogadier, that may be exactly what they need to hold everything together. We're going to see Marigo go ahead and take a step back to regroup in the spawn.
This is going to get really hard for Marigo because obviously they want to keep that far around because it's getting value for them. They're going to have that barrage as a potential fight winner, but Disperse going down, that's actually huge because they have the Blizzard as well.
That's a great way to start things off. The High Noon doesn't end up finding anyone. The comp is just too fast to get around, and already we see the flashbang coming out, preventing Kinesion from following up, but will come back into the action to get Braven regardless. With a little less than 2 minutes on the clock, Crystal grabs the double kill and makes that payload move again.
I would love to see 4D come back and defend this, like a really quick engagement. You've got Coalescence, you've got Blizzard, use them as fast as you can. Try not to get caught out by the barrage. I think that's what they have to do if they're going to win this next team fight. They've got to catch Marigo off guard.
Right, well, let's see if they can make it happen. Julo now in on the ball themselves, trying to see if they can match speed and distance, but with the minefield blocking them off from the rest of the team, it's going to be hard for them to get back and get healed up. But it looks like they will successfully get back. Braven, though, ends up finding the rocket, and then Barrage coming out, but the big eat comes in, and Frogadier grabbing the double kill on the Pharah Mercy. The Blizzard locks down the objective, but with Elysiu and Crystal getting those picks, there's not going to be a lot of follow-up on it. The only one left near the objective right now is Braven, and it's a feed fest right now from Fourth Dimension to try to hold everything together. Braven ends up falling in the end to Elysiu, and I think that is going to be objective 2.
I think they're going to get back in. I mean, they lost their Moira, but they still got a support back, and they're going to have a self-destruct shortly. I think this is potentially winnable for 4D.
Ooh, Kinesion now taken to the legs on that Soldier 76, just doling out all the damage that they can. Julo slamming onto that high ground, but ends up continuing to find the end of that pulse rifle, and the shots just continue to rain in. Raven tracking on Kinesion right now is insane. The minefield able to lock down a side of the objective, so now Fourth Dimension has very little area to work with, and with only 10 seconds remaining on the clock, Marigo finally lock down Objective 2 and make their way to Objective 3.
And this is kind of, as I said, the opposite of what was happening at the start of the series. These last crucial fights, right? We saw in Gibraltar and Legion. Fourth Dimension were winning those. That's not happening anymore. Marigo are winning the fights that are going on longer and are harder to win. They're crucial to the series, and that's what they're doing. And realistically, I think it might be because of 4D's composition. They're making the fights last longer. The sustainability is going away, and it's happening in this series as well. Marigo, they just need to make the fights a little bit slower.
All right, Minefield and Diva Bomb get invested into the objective as Kinesion popping the tac visor to see if they can clear some space. Does end up finding Disperse at the end of that tac visor, but it's not going to be enough as Fourth Dimension aggressively moves back in. Goodness gracious, great Guns of Raven right now cleaning up Marigo from this objective, but remember, their spawn doors are literally about 30 meters away, so the feed is just going to come in stronger than ever. I think it's time for Fourth Dimension to give up some space so that they can get the objective more in their favor.
Yeah, they're going to give up some space though, but while they're giving up this space, I want to see the Spurs try and build up this EMP. 40%? Realistically, you only need another 60? That could be up for the end of this late fight, right? And the late fight is where they struggle. If they can get the EMP in there, that kind of cancels out that difference and makes things a little bit easier for 40. Otherwise, Marigo, they know what they have to do.
All right, let's see if Marigo can indeed make this happen. Already the hack's trying to come in from Disperse, but the zoning that continues to come out from Aerial just not going to allow that to happen. Big Slam coming in, but gets hacked out by Disperse, and the Diva Bomb now fed in from NKZ. It's a 5v6 fight now as the Coalescence goes against the EMP, now coming out huge. It's a 4-man. Will the cleanup come in from Fourth Dimension to be able to turn this sucker around? But everyone is still alive. Now the Deadeye from Kinesion ends up finding Disperse on the high ground at the last moment. Pulse Bomb ends up finding Frogadier. The picks just coming in. They had it all set up in their favor, but Marigo, regardless, goes round and round into the objective in overtime.
I think that might have actually got all 3 objectives of Havana in overtime. Like, so if that isn't telling you when Marigo need to step it up, they step it up. That's the telltale sign here, right? Fourth Dimension, they need to win the EMP fight. They don't. They actually managed to do the hard part, which was build 60% of an EMP in the middle of a team fight. That was the hard part. All they had to do was shoot the correct targets. They didn't do it. And Marigo, they come back into it. They take the third point of Havana, and now 4D, they have a very large uphill task.
All right, going into round 2, Fourth Dimension have themselves in a really good position right now. Marigo will get that additional round if Fourth Dimension pushes it into that final objective. So now it's all about the quick plays. They want to clear Marigo of the objective every single time as quickly as possible. And if they can make that happen, then they could set themselves up for a great time bank going into rounds 3 and 4. But right now, Fourth Dimension have been making a lot of big plays that don't get the follow-up that they deserve. It just, as we've been saying, it's lazy plays. There's huge ultimates coming out, but there's not a follow-up to make sure that the kills come in. And it looks like Marigo will allow themselves to hold these side rooms instead of trying to hold Fourth Dimension and spawn. I wonder if that will give Fourth Dimension the advantage they need.
4D going for the Wrecking Ball Diva composition themselves, but running the Lucio Moira, I don't really see how this synergizes together. I guess it's not too far away from the Diva Winston style of like hybrid dive roll that they were going for before, but I just don't see it. I don't see the synergy here. And I think 4D, they're just trying to come up with something magical that will somehow get them back into the series, and I don't know if this is the answer.
We will indeed see if that's the case. The payload is moving its way forward, and they have finally met Marigo where they live. Kinesion now on that Hanzo, the double sniper, actually coming out as he Wraith on that Widow as well. And it looks like the picks just continue to come in with NKZ already out of the fight. It looks like that time bank is going to start finding its way down.
Yeah, and look at these ultimates, right? Look at 21% and 28% for the DPS and 4D, albeit more impactful ultimates than Infrasight and Dragon Strike. But look, DPS ultimate difference is still there, and those ultimates still have an advantage. You know, Infrasight, you can scout out positioning. Dragon Strike, you can maybe split some players. Like, that can't really be happening against your DPS opposites.
All right, well, the Dragon Strike coming in now, looking to see if they can get the cleanup on that high ground as NKZ is able to grab the pick on Elysiu with the 5v6 now in the favor of Fourth Dimension. They might be able to push this payload in just in time, but we're not seeing any additional picks coming in. They're not taking advantage of the advantage they have. There we go. NKZ able to get that pick onto He-Wraith and create the space that they are looking for with only 0.56 meters. There we go. The time bank is huge right now, 4 minutes 30 seconds, as we see Fourth Dimension push their way into Objective 2.
That's huge. That point doesn't manage to get contested. The Transcendence was going on, and again, the longer that fight went on, as we're seeing right now, Marigo would have won that fight, and then it would have been a massive distance before they could travel. But good thing is for them, they did capture the objective. They keep themselves in this map. They still have a strong time bank, and they have EMP for the next team fight. Ooh.
That is definitely the position you want to be in as Fourth Dimension. Just not even just EMP, but a whole stack, a 6-stack of ultimates ready and raring to go. But you gotta use your patience. You gotta use your strategy. And it looks like Elysiu is gonna go ahead and start things off. The EMP comes out, but doesn't find anyone except for Crystal. Maybe that was exactly what they needed to be able to bring this in. But Kinesion bringing it back with the Dragon Strike takes Julo out of the fight. It's a 5v5, 4v5 as the flail blinds Frogadier at the end. But the payload is slowly continuing to move its way forward, getting past the bridge choke as we see Fourth Dimension heading back to spawn.
I'm struggling to see where 4D are really struggling. It's probably just a bunch of micro things and maybe one macro issue across the board, but you know, they get this in early in the fight, they put Marigo under pressure and then just do nothing with it. They kind of just seemed like for a little bit they were just kind of sitting around. Now themselves going over to the more sensible Brigitte Zen support composition for this, you know, composition that they're running. This is very confusing. I think 4D might have just lost touch.
All right, well, let's see if they can bring it back in their favor. He-Wraith already finding Frogadier and Roamer down as well, so the supports of Fourth Dimension are back in spawn while the rest of the team is trying to fight it out. The minefield does grab the objective for a moment, but they're going to all be headed back to spawn.
And then the thing is, right, with Fourth Dimension, you know, changing their supports up there, they're going to be behind in support ultimate coming for a while. It doesn't look too bad right now, actually. Like, 75% for Bakugan, 80% for Crystal, and your 20s, 30s for your supports. But just having one support ultimate is such a big difference maker in the next fight. And Marigo, they've got to be feeling really good right now.
All right, well, let's see if Marigo can continue to hold. The Diva Bomb goes through the brewery stands and doesn't grab any value whatsoever except taking the bridge shield down. But Elysiu with that minefield in the back line is definitely going to be finding some value no matter what they throw right now. If Byakugan on that brig, it's just not finding exactly what they're looking for. And He-Wraith in that back line able to get those follow-up picks that are going to keep Marigo in favor. A minute 30 remaining on the clock as we wait for Fourth Dimension's next push.
Byakugan did a great job to have the awareness that Braven would have pulse bomb and just avoid it. Like, absolutely brilliant play there. Marigo, they don't have much online for next fight besides their support ultimate, so if 4D can, you know, try and put those under pressure, maybe with the EMP, that will be looking good for them. But Marigo, they've got to be comfortable right now.
Right, Disperse with no stuns except for the brig to worry about might have a huge EMP coming up in this fight as the payload moving its way slowly forward. The tension continues to build. EMP able to grab 3, and Crystal with the Transcendence is the one they needed to get. There it is. Double kill comes in as Ariel gets the follow-up onto Disperse, but the damage may already be done at this point. The rally being used by Byakugan, but it doesn't provide the same value of healing as Crystal with that Transcendence. They might be able to get back in for the final fight, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Transcendence coming out clutch for Romer as the pulse bomb tries to end their life, and Braven able to pay He-Wraith back at the final moment. And now it looks like Marigo is going to try to do this final contest. They're ready and raring to go and have their support all on the line as well. But with Brigadier out of the match for Fourth Dimension right now, it is going to be hard for them to get that follow-up. Oh, no.
Okay. I mean, I think it's time to talk about Romer, also known as a Draco, making great play there, making sure that they build up their Transcendence. Otherwise, if they don't have that Transcendence, they go down to the Pulse Bomb, and then, realistically, they're the one that gets the pick onto the opposition Zenyatta, who has Transcendence available. That's the critical moment. A clutch play from Draco, that's going to keep Fourth Dimension in the map.
Yeah, that really is going to hold everything together. And as we saw just before then, we did see Julo be able to follow up with that double kill at the beginning of that map. But with only Zenyatta heals and not a Transcendence available, unless they get those picks quickly, it's going to be hard for Fourth Dimension to continue to hold this objective. We have a pause on the field, so I'm going to assume that we possibly had some kind of DC or close DC right now. I don't know, Ocean. Fourth Dimension just seems to have Mary go right exactly where they want him. The hype is building back up to tie up this series once again and take us to a map 7. What does Fourth Dimension need to keep doing to keep this payload moving forward?
I mean, realistically, they gotta keep getting these engagements right with the EMP and Julo. They finally got one correct, and look at the benefits. When they're winning their EMP fights, the momentum is coming back to their side, and they're putting themselves in a better position in each map. The problem is, they still have Point C Havana to go, and there's lots of spots on Point C Havana where you can easily get stuck, and it's hard to get back into the fight because there's such long sight lines to travel against. I don't think this is done yet for Fourth Dimension, but I also think Marigo, they're in a pretty good position. They still have that Transcendence. I think 4D will cap the second point, but Point C is extremely difficult. And Marigo, they've set the win condition. They're pretty comfortable. They're leading the series right now, and the momentum's on their side. If they can keep up what they're doing on Marigo's side, they'll be in a good place.
All right, it looks like it's going to take us a little bit of time to go ahead and get that player back, so we're going to go ahead and throw it to a quick break. Thank you so much for continuing to stick with us despite the technical issues, and we'll be back with more Overwatch action in a few moments. All right, folks, it looks like we are back at it once again. It looks like whatever issue happened, we were able to get taken care of relatively quickly. But it looks like we are now in overtime for Fourth Dimension as they took that second objective. They only have 1:20 to be able to push this payload into the final resting spot. So Mariko really has the advantage right here to stop Fourth Dimension where they're at.
I think there's a couple of things to look at right here. I think Froganier's Rally versus Crystal's Transcendence is for the ultimate battle. And additionally, watch the EMP charges. Watch Kinesion, watch the Spurs, because those are the big fight-winning ultimates. Yes, Marigo and Fourth Dimension, they've got some tank ultimates available, but those aren't going to be the ones that positively impact the game to where it's a win-or-loss situation. Watch the EMPs, watch the support ultimates, guys, because it's going to be an awesome series stand.
Right, well, Hearith now swapped on over to the Widowmakers. Julo able to take down Kinesion, not going to be able to earn up that EMP to try to compete against Disperse in the late game. 25 seconds remaining on the clock. Is Elysiu able to find Julo in the end? And now the Transcendence holding the rest of Fourth Dimension together. The hack comes in as the Diva Bomb goes high, and it looks like they're able to get away, avoid that damage coming in. 10 seconds remaining on the clock, and now it's a feed fest in for Fourth Dimension to try to push this payload in the final moments. Minefields overlapping minefields right now as overtime ticks away. No! Fourth Dimension is cleared of the objective in the final moments, and Marigo will be moving on to the grand final.
Not only have they moved on to the grand finals, but they will have an automatic head start in the grand finals. They will take a 1-0 lead in a best of 7 there. They confirm a contenders trial spot. And I think Marigo are in a really good position. They played really well. I thought after those first 2 maps, they might be down in the dubs because they really have met their match in 4D. When it came down to clutch plays and when you needed to win a team fight, it was always 4D. But then we had that halftime break. We went to Blizzard World. It was still looking good for 4D. But a little bit of magic on Blizzard World brought them back into the series. And from there, it seemed like either 4D lost their way, kind of how they caught their composition. Again, when it gets late in the fight, when it gets late in the series, they're going to struggle. Maybe it was that, but also Marigo, I think they stepped it up as well.
Yeah, it just seemed like that little halftime break that we had was just what Marigo needed to be able to turn things around. So let's go ahead and see who people are talking about in the chat. I want to know who your player of the match is for this match. Ocean, why don't you go ahead and start us off? Who was that key player on one of the teams that was really making it shine?
I feel like I'm required to go for Ariel. And the reason I'm required to go for Ariel is because they don't win Blizzard World if it's not for Ariel self. They don't. They're out. They lose 3-0. If Ariel doesn't make that play, they lose. So I'm forced to go for Ariel on that occasion. I mean, definitely Bakugan was brilliant on the Brigitte and the Mercy, and was brilliant at keeping Crystal alive throughout the entirety of the day and making sure that their support ultimates were good and strong and keeping a good foundation. But they don't win this series. They get 3 out if Ariel doesn't make that play. So Ariel's my player of the match.
You know what? I think usually I try to go for the tanks and supports because they don't light up the kill feed as beautifully. But, you know, I gotta give it to Kinesion here. Just absolutely a dominant force. We saw it in the match against Kindergarten, and we're seeing it now during their match with Fourth Dimension. As soon as they got that rhythm going after the half, they were just able to keep up the pressure as that Tracer, as that Ashe, just finding pick after pick. So Kinesion, you're walking away with my player of the match today as well. That's going to be it for us from Reflash Production today. But tomorrow morning, you're going to be able to check out the remainder of this Open Division series. We'll be starting off with the second half of the loser bracket semifinals, take you to the losers finals, and then the grand finals, where we will see Marigo go against one of the 5 teams continuing to remain. Thank you so much for joining us here at Reflash Production. My name's Captain Jack.
One absolutely ludicrous series. Like 4D, they started out so well, and it just crumbled a little bit. But Marigo, all credit to them. All credit to Ariel for getting them back into the series with that play. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here, and it's been a pleasure to watch these teams grow throughout this Open Division Cup, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm super excited. You gotta show up to that.
And thank you so much for Xanthon for helping us out with production. We absolutely appreciate the amazing angles you got for us today. We'll see you tomorrow.